Module Overview. At the heart of sustainable and transformative governance lies ethical leadership, a form of leadership rooted in principled values, personal integrity, empathy, justice, and public interest. Without ethical leadership, institutions crumble under the weight of corruption, power abuse, mismanagement, and public distrust. In this module, we explore the philosophical foundations, characteristics, frameworks, principles, dimensions, and practical implications of ethical leadership and moral responsibility in both public and private governance systems. Ethical leadership is more than being good. It is the consistent application of moral reasoning and ethical decision-making, particularly in situations where leaders are tempted by power, profits, or personal gain. This module also addresses how moral responsibility binds leaders to be accountable not just legally, but ethically to the people they serve, and how that responsibility plays out in difficult decisions, conflicts of interest, whistleblowing scenarios, and leadership failures. We also explore models from religious ethics, philosophical doctrines, indigenous wisdom, international standards, and contemporary leadership psychology to form a robust view of ethical governance. What is ethical leadership? Ethical leadership is defined as the demonstration of normatively appropriate conduct through personal actions, interpersonal relationships, and promotion of such conduct to followers through two-way communication, reinforcement, and decision-making. Brown et al., 2005. In other words, ethical leaders model integrity and moral consistency, inspire a shared sense of justice, fairness, and values, influence others by example rather than control, accept responsibility for consequences of their actions, institutionalize ethical systems and cultures within governance structures. Principles of ethical leadership in governance. Ethical governance thrives on certain universal principles such as integrity, doing the right thing consistently, even when no one is watching. Transparency, providing open, honest information and justifying decisions. Fairness and justice, treating all individuals equitably, free from bias. Accountability, being answerable for one's decisions, policies, and mistakes. Respect for human rights, protecting the dignity and liberties of all citizens. Empathy and compassion, understanding and responding to people's lived realities. Rule of law, acting within the confines of legal and constitutional frameworks. These principles form the ethical compass that guides leadership decisions, especially under pressure or in morally ambiguous situations. Moral responsibility in governance. Moral responsibility goes beyond legality. It addresses the ethical consequences of decisions. While a leader might follow the law, they may still be unethical if their actions cause social injustice, discrimination, environmental harm, misuse of public funds, abuse of vulnerable populations. Moral responsibility means prioritizing the public good over self-interest, owning the outcomes of governance decisions, protecting the powerless and voiceless, stepping down or apologizing when necessary, resisting popular pressure if it violates core ethical values. Dimensions and applications of ethical leadership. Ethical leadership must be understood in three intersecting dimensions. A. Personal ethics. Includes character, conscience, upbringing, and values. Traits such as honesty, humility, courage, and responsibility are foundational. B. Organizational ethics. Policies, structures, and codes of conduct that promote ethical behavior. Includes whistleblower policies, reward systems for ethical conduct, and ethics training. C. Societal ethics. Reflects broader cultural, religious, and social norms. Leaders should be sensitive to ethical pluralism, honoring diversity while upholding justice. Ethical leadership applies to budget planning, avoiding inflated or ghost projects, public procurement, ensuring merit-based contracting, law enforcement, avoiding extrajudicial abuse, legislative debates, putting national interest above party loyalty. Disaster response, avoiding hoarding of relief materials. Ethical theories influencing leadership. Several philosophical and religious theories provide a moral framework for leadership ethics. Utilitarianism promotes actions that produce the greatest good for the greatest number. Deontology, Kantian ethics, emphasizes doing what is right regardless of the outcome. Virtue ethics, Aristotelian, focuses on moral character and habits of virtue. Ubuntu, African ethics, emphasizes communal interdependence and shared humanity. Religious frameworks, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, emphasize servant leadership, humility, stewardship, justice, and accountability before God. Ethics versus corruption. Corruption thrives in the absence of ethical leadership. Unethical leaders justify corrupt acts as normal practice, prioritize loyalty over merit, use power for revenge or enrichment, undermine accountability systems. Ethical leadership fights corruption through leading by example, zero tolerance for personal gain, supporting integrity institutions, EFCC, ICPC, audit offices, protecting whistleblowers, enforcing sanctions fairly and transparently. Ethical leadership in crisis and decision-making. Ethical leadership is most tested during crises, e.g., pandemics, national protests, temptations, e.g., contract awards, promotions, conflicts of interest, e.g., private business versus public office, dilemmas, e.g., choosing between legal action and moral justice. Ethical decision-making involves clarifying values, consulting affected stakeholders, anticipating long-term consequences, seeking transparency in process, being willing to accept criticism. Global and local examples of ethical leadership. Positive examples. Nelson Mandela, South Africa. Reconciliation over revenge. Jakob von Uexküll, Sweden. Ethical investment and environmental sustainability. Dora Akunyili, Nigeria. Reforming NAFDAC with integrity despite threats. John Magufuli, Tanzania. Anti-waste and accountability reforms despite other controversies. Negative examples. State capture in South Africa, Zuma years, ghost worker scandals in Nigeria, presidential pardon, abuse for convicted officials. These examples show the impact and consequence of ethical versus unethical leadership. Promoting ethical governance structures. To build ethical leadership into systems, establish ethics commissions and tribunals. Require asset declarations and lifestyle audits. Mandate annual ethics training for public officials. Encourage citizen reporting tools. Adopt leadership codes of conduct with enforcement mechanisms. Use ethics-based promotion criteria in civil service. Building a culture of ethical leadership. A culture of ethical leadership is built when citizens demand integrity from leaders. Media exposes unethical behavior. Faith leaders emphasize accountability. Youth are taught civic responsibility. Institutions reject shortcuts and cronyism. It's not enough to train leaders. Systems and culture must reinforce ethics. Conclusion of module. Ethical leadership and moral responsibility are not optional luxuries in governance. They are the cornerstones of sustainable development, public trust, and democratic survival. This module empowers you to recognize ethical lapses, promote value-based leadership, and build integrity-driven institutions at all levels of governance.